The second one is April 27th.
April.
Well, here, when did you start talking to your health insurance company about, I mean, did they contact you while you were going through chemo?
No. Actually, I was getting calls from not my health insurance, but I was getting calls from my doctor's offices. The ones that I first initially went to, like Dr. Vadajo, like the ones from Inova, and because they were not getting paid. So they kept on calling me and they were like, oh, we're going to send you in collection. And it was just like, I was so dead for that. Like my parents were like, they were not even taking those calls. They're like, look, she's in the hospital. And I couldn't. And then days that I felt good, I would call my insurance, and I'll be on the phone with them. I'm like, hey, why are you guys not paying? They're like, it's a normal process because you're you're like a new customer to us. And I got this insurance in December, literally. So I was a new customer and they wanted to make sure that none of this was pre-existing. And so they had to kind of send all the doctors who were treating me, send them a letter and find out from them if I had been treated for the same cause before. So, because of that, took forever. And actually, they're still going to. I still have bills that they're still.
Are you in collections?
No, I'm not. Luckily, every time I get like this really mean call, I say, look, you got to call my insurance. And then I call my insurance. I'm like, dude. So then what they do is, I can say Aetna's been pretty decent about that because they would call the whoever, like the doctor's office, they'll call them and say, look, we're working on it, but we'll take care of that. And a lot of it, because once I paid my deductible, then it was 100% covered. So I met my $10,000 deductible of the year, like by literally in a month.
Yeah.
In a month and a half after my,
How much was? Do you know the amount of?
My biopsy was $7,000.
Wow.
My first chemo was $25,000.
Wow. Like, what if you didn't have insurance? Do people just die? Do people just die?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have to prove?
Or they have bad credit because it goes in collections.
Do they have to prove that they can pay it before getting treatment?
No.
Do you know?
No. If you come into emergency, but a lot of times when you needed, like perfect example, when I went for my MRI, I had not paid off. I think I had like $1,500 still left in my deductible to pay, and they requested me to pay that first before they can get the MRI, taken care of. So it was something that they made me do, and I'm not sure if it was the insurance or the hospital.
Are they still investigating whether this is a pre-existing condition?
They are, because the problem is, and they have to do. So it takes a lot of people. Like first, so they have to have a letter. It has to be sent to the doctor's office, and they have to fill out their part and fax it back to them, and then it needs to be put in the computer, and then their claim goes paid depending on the diagnosis. So most of my diagnoses have been taken care of, but some haven't, and it just depends. So it's just a matter of them sending the doctor notes again and them actually doing something about it and then sending it back. So a lot of times some of these doctors were not getting paid because they had not themselves done what they were supposed to. So I had to pay my $10,000 deductible before I could, So that came right away. It was like easy,
They're calling you. They're calling you while you're in the hospital.
Yes.
During your chemotherapy.
Yes, my doctor's office that was very insensitive of them because they were all oncologists and they know what patients go through when they're going through chemotherapy. I was in the hospital and this is again, I know, but I don't know, I just don't like that group at all. They were like harassing me literally, like I had messages of like, well, if you don't do this, this will go in collection. This will ruin your credit, and meaning like.
Okay. That's a good angle. I didn't know about the Inova. I didn't know about this. That's horrible.
Yeah. Oh,
they need to write about that.
They were ridiculous. They were ridiculous about that. And actually, which was nice because at Aetna, it really depends who you get. So this one girl that I got lucky one day, I talked to her. I was at the hospital. I was like, Ashley, I found her. She was awesome. She's like, look, don't worry about it right now. That's not your problem. This is pre-existing or not. You have to take care of yourself right now. Don't worry about this. And she said, this is not something that we're doing because we think that you are like, doing some fraud, this is something that we have to do. And unfortunately, it's a process and it involves all these people. So if everybody does their job, it will. And she took it upon herself to take care of all my, so she would call me every week, literally every week, and leave me a message. By the way, this got paid, and this got paid.
Oh.
And then, so she was like really awesome over at now. I mean, that's one
Do you
thing.
know her customer number or anything?
Yeah.
So that would be good to give her some
Props.
love. Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely know her customer number. She was awesome. She was really good.
And I know is the one that was harassing you because I essentially was following procedure.
Right.
Okay. All right. So now we're after the
No idea what was going to happen. I just knew that I was going to have to go through this. Then I came home. At that time, I was feeling a lot better when I came home, and it was like 5 days. I was home. I called all my insurance. This is when Ashley's telling me, "Don't worry, this is fake. Don't worry." Then I think I only had a couple of 20,000 bill and 82,000 bill. That was from from one of my stays there.
82,000.
Yeah.
Did you freak out?
Honestly, no, because it's like I can't pay it, so there's nothing to freak out about, right? So it's like I had that attitude, like whatever, like I honestly didn't even know.
You have school debt too?
Oh yeah, more than that though.
Yeah, I think the average is $250,000, right? I think I read an article about that. But,
Isn't that crazy?
But it doesn't even matter. So that
So I just didn't even care about that. I was getting these bills, and so she told me she'll take care of me. So I was like, okay, Ashley's cool. If I have to, I'll just talk to Ashley and things will be okay. And at that point, insurance was paying all my stuff, which was nice. As long as I paid my $10,000 deductible first, it was everything after that was 100%, except if there are certain things like, sometimes what happens is, let's say you get an $8,000 bill, right, for a service, but the insurance, what they had adjusted with them to pay most was $7,000. Well, the rest of it, $1,000, I owe because that's the way the plan is. So those I had, but I was good. Like I would get it. I would like put it there. Either like literally, I was paying them because Ebony and I had saved some money, so I was paying them. Or my dad would be like, I would have was like, oh, $2,000. That's what's left over. That's that's my part that I'm supposed to owe. So my dad would take it. And he's like, he'll give me with the receipt. It's paid. Don't worry. You know what I mean? Like, so I was very lucky that way. Like I had that support.
How much would you say have you paid out of pocket?
Oh, 10,000. Our deductible.
Oh, okay. So. Okay, I thought you meant after your deductible. Then you.
Oh no! I've paid that 10,000, and after that, I probably have paid 5,000 more, with like extra money.
Okay,
so total 15,000
for like medicine or.
For medicine, that's another thing. I got really, really lucky. So I while I was there, I investigated a lot, and I found out a program which is for sarcomas only. There's a program called. Copay relief. If you have sarcoma, it's certain cancers. So if you have sarcoma, which I did, that was one of the cancers, and you can somehow prove to them that you don't have an income, which I didn't, and they can give you $2,500 for a year for your medicine.
That's good to know. That's nothing to do with insurance. That's just a separate.
Absolutely separate. So I applied to that program. So when I got home that week, I researched, and that's all I did was take care of my bills, and I found them. I applied to them, and then I got sick again, so I was in the hospital. But Ebony took care of it afterwards, and I got approved right away. They don't send you $2,500 right away. You have to show them the receipts of your medicine, and then they reimburse you. So that was awesome because if my insurance, like perfect example, there's so many medicine because I have a really basic plan, and a lot of my medicine was not covered. So I would have to pay. I still have to pay for my tramadol, $147 every month for it, right? Out of my pocket, because that's what the insurance doesn't cover it. So when I paid it, I was not afraid to pay it. I was not like, oh my God, I'm losing all this money. When I paid it, I saved the receipt. I sent it to them. 2 weeks later, they send me a check for. So it's like literally my medicine is paid. So that I'm lucky about that. But yes, there's a lot of medicine that my insurance was not paying, but I just got lucky and I researched and found this copay relief, and they helped. My only thing was to decide if I'm gonna have this amputation, which was really not hard. I needed to, so I told my family, enjoyed my days, on my 2 legs, hopping around everywhere.
Well, so when did you go home? It was Thursday. think.
Yes.
Thursday you went home. Okay, so then that weekend you were you were dancing.
Yeah. I had a really good time.
Like
And I.
What songs were you dancing to?
It was really ridiculous. Like um, really, yeah, really sappy songs actually.
Like what?
Because Ebony made the playlist. It was like stuff like Lion King stuff and like really horrible
Well,
stuff.
how were you dancing to those?
Oh, slow dance. We
Oh,
just
slow
kind of
dance.
hold each other, you know.
Down here?
No, actually in the room. So we were like in this small place, just like And then I was like, "Don't worry, you can still dance," because I always love to dance. So, but then we like played like some Timo Mass and I don't know, a lot of techno too. So
Techno's fun.
yeah.
Do you rave?
Back in the day, Ebony was a bigger raver than me though. So
Yeah, she looks like a raver.
so
Does she have dreadlocks?
yep,
Yeah, she's cool.
yeah, she did. And so I kind of came home, decided, and then I called them. I called them. I actually literally called them Friday. I was like, hey, I want to have an amputation. They're like, okay, want to come Tuesday? I'm like, okay, June 2nd. So that was like a Tuesday, I think. So I went June 2nd, had my amputation. After that, I was doing rehab, and I was like, oh my God, I have no idea what kind of rehabilitation, benefits I have. Like, I have no idea.
But did you worry about it, or you didn't even think about it? You just
I was
thought it
worried.
covered?
I was worried because I was seeing all this crap they were giving me and all the stuff they were doing with me,
Like
and
what,
I'm
like
like,
not paying the bills?
no,
what
meaning
was
like
it?
all the services I was getting in the rehab, and I was like, oh my God, this costs a lot of money. Oh my God, this costs a lot of money. And I was like, okay, I'll worry about it when I get the bills. And I did. I got $17,000 bill from them, but my insurance actually paid for it. So I was like, phew,
Right.
So I was happy about that. And then so now I was okay. So now I'm getting well. Now I'm like looking what kind of legs I can get. That's when I found out. When I found a prostheticist and I asked them to look into it, and they took my insurance and ran out. They're like, "Oh, do you know that they only cover up to $2,000? That's a max amount."
And when was this? Was this like maybe June 15th or?
This is later. This is sometime. This is after 4th of July.
Oh, so you
this is
just
late
found
July.
out. You just found out.
Late July, yeah.
Okay.
Late July or even in August, I think, because that's when I was able to get fitted. My surgeon said I was okay to now go look for a leg. So then I had to go to a prostheticist, and I was looking. First of all, it was impossible to find somebody who takes Aetna. There's only 2 people, and they both kind of were horrible. So now currently that I'm working, the guy that I'm working with is just somebody I kind of bonded with him, and he's the one who is offered to make my socket for free. With no cost.
We'll get back to that in a little bit because I have a question about that. So I lost my train of thought, but
So I was getting the leg,
right.
and that's when I found out I only had 2,000, and I have like really 2 folks to go to. So I went to the 2 people that Aetna could cover, but at first I went to this guy because I thought they used to, but they had that year. They're like, oh, we just kind of stopped our contract about 15 days ago. So that's how I met this guy, Orthotic Solutions, that I even wrote about, Josh. But so that's how I found out. So then I inquired about it more. Like, why is that? And maybe I can appeal it. So I tried to go the appeal route, and I appealed it. And they said, look, there's nothing to appeal. It's not like something that, you wanted, like, this bigger apple than the small. It's not like that. You don't even have this coverage, Right. So you don't have this coverage. This is the max you can spend. So I was like, oh man, I didn't know, when I was buying it. Of course, you never think about it when you're buying insurance. Honestly, when I was buying insurance, I was like, okay, I can get a free physical, and really, I don't go to a doctor,